Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's session that will overview the new enhancements to both the UIIA and the Street Interchange applications. My name is Debbie Sasko, and I'm the AVP of Information Services at IANA, and I also have Stacy Fagan with me today, who is our Program Manager. Please feel free to submit any questions you may have. We've reserved about 10 minutes at the end of the session to take any questions submitted. Any questions that we are unable to get to during the session, we will respond to immediately following the webinar. Let's get started first by giving a brief overview of the new features, and then what I will do is go into the actual application and take a more detailed look at each new functionality. The first new enhancement in the UIIA application is the ability for equipment providers to notify motor carriers of outstanding interchanged equipment. The Intermodal Interchange Executive Committee, which is the group that oversees the UIIA, had requested that this new feature be put into place to provide a quick and efficient method for equipment providers to be able to send notifications to motor carriers of equipment that they still have outstanding on their books is not being returned. The process allows the EP to simply upload an Excel file. That Excel file will identify equipment that has not been returned by giving the alphanumeric of the equipment, as well as the outgate date of the interchange, how many days it's been outstanding under the motor carrier's interchange. Once that information is uploaded into the UIIA application, our system will then send an email to the motor carrier. It'll go to the main UIIA contact unless another contact has been identified by the motor carrier. You'll receive an email with an Excel file attached that indicates in the body of the email message the contact details for the equipment provider should you have any questions regarding the Excel file or the information contained in the Excel file. The benefits to UIIA participants of this new feature are basically, for the motor carrier's perspective, is to make them aware of equipment that actually is still showing on the equipment provider's books that you may not be aware of as still being out under your interchange. So hopefully it will assist in preventing any unnecessary per diem billings for your company. From the equipment provider's perspective, it would assist them in reconciling equipment that has not been returned and provide them with a simple way to notify motor carriers of that outstanding equipment. The second enhancement that we've added to the UIIA application is the ability for motor carriers to add additional contacts to their account. This new feature will enable motor carriers to identify different individuals within their organization and designate what type of UIIA notifications you would like those individuals to receive. Now, these people that you add will not have access to your UIIA account. You would have to set them up as a secondary user in order to access your UIIA account. This is simply to identify individuals within your organization that maybe take care of your insurance needs and you would like any type of insurance notification to be sent to that individual. It does not change the fact that the UIIA master contact as well as the secondary email address that you have on file on your account will continue to receive the notifications as well. But it allows you as the master contact to know that the proper person within your organization, as long as you set that individual up, will also receive that notice as well. From the EP side, it gives the equipment provider more visibility to additional contacts within the motor carrier's company. So should they have a safety matter or a per diem matter that they need to address with your company, if you've got those contacts recorded or entered in our system, the EP would have the ability to see that information and then be able to contact that party directly and hopefully resolve issues in a quicker, more efficient manner with the appropriate party within your company. The equipment providers will have the ability to view the additional contact information provided by the motor carrier via the UIIA web portal access. And those equipment providers that receive electronic data feeds from our office or UIIA motor carrier interchange status information will be able to modify their customized feed should they wish to do so to receive that information directly. You'll note that when you add these additional contacts, again, the main UIIA contact and any secondary contacts you have set up on your master account will continue to receive those notices, because the language in the base UIIA agreement states that notifications have to be provided to the UIIA subscriber on file. So this feature is basically to provide you with the ability to have those notices also directed to other individuals within your organization. So what I'd like to do now is kind of take you into the UIIA application so that you can look at the features in a little more detail. We'll look at the notification of available outstanding interchange equipment first. We're in our test system now, so what equipment provider that would want to notify a motor carrier of outstanding equipment will have the ability to click a link once they're logged into their account, and they'll have the ability, they have two options. They have the ability to upload a single file that in the first column of that file will have the motor carrier's SCAC code, so that when our system gets the file after it's been uploaded, we will read the file and then extract those entries that are for that specific SCAC code and then notify that particular motor carrier of the outstanding units that the equipment provider has indicated are still out under their interchange. The second option an equipment provider will have will be to send us a single file, which would be the file naming convention for that would be that day's date followed by the motor carrier's SCAC code. And when they send that file to us, then our system would then notify that particular motor carrier that they have units outstanding. We've been notified by the equipment provider that they have units outstanding. So as an example, if I was an equipment provider and I wanted to upload a single file, I'd select this option. I'd choose File, and then I would go and actually select the file that I wanted to upload. I have the ability to add additional files. I can upload 5 at a time if I'm uploading single files with a SCAC code at the end for a particular motor carrier. But if I just want to upload the single file, I can click Upload here. It's going to tell me that the file was uploaded successfully and that the notice will be sent to the motor carrier soon. From the equipment provider side, they would be able to see any notifications or any files that they've uploaded, the date they've uploaded them, and then this will show a check mark if the notification's been sent. To show you what the motor carrier would get, this is a sample email you would get from our system that shows you in the subject line, it would state that it was notification of outstanding interchange equipment, and it would have the equipment provider's SCAC code here, and then it would indicate that you have an attached Excel file and then give you the contact details for the equipment provider should you have any questions regarding the file you receive. Any questions regarding that file would need to be directed to the equipment provider because the UIIA office and our customer service representatives would not be able to provide you or assist you with that information because we don't have access to it. It's information that's coming directly from the equipment provider system. The file that you would receive as an attachment to that this is an example where it would have the SCAC code, your SCAC code, and then it would have the alphanumeric of the equipment, the outgate date, location, the booking number, and the number of days it had been out under your interchange based on the equipment provider's books. This format of the inside of the file, the contents of the inside, could vary by equipment provider. The only thing we have indicated is that we suggested that these fields be included in the information that they send you, but they may have more information in the file that they upload. We're not doing any check of the contents of the file, only that they've uploaded it and it's being sent to the correct SCAC code that they've indicated it needs to go to. So that's the outstanding interchange equipment enhancement. So now let's take a look at the motor carrier enhancement that we talked about for contacts. So when you log into your account, and all of these changes that we're talking about today will become effective on Monday, February 13th. So for the new contact enhancement, you'll have a new link when you log into your account that says Add Other Contacts. So if you click on that, you'll have a new screen. And what we've done is we've categorized all the UIIA notifications. And you have to remember that these contacts are related to notifications that are generated from the UIIA office. So you have general UIIA notifications that are basically any type of notice regarding revisions to the UIIA, like when we send out comments on proposed modifications, and any general information on your UIIA account. Your UIIA billing notice is your annual billing that you receive from the UIIA that's billed to you upon your anniversary date. UIIA insurance notifications would be any type of notifications regarding your insurance, whether it be that your insurance is lapsed or that we've received information from your insurance agent that may impact your account. Any type of notice that relates to any of the insurance policies we have on file for you would fall under that category. EP addendum, that is any type of addenda revision that we send out. You know that we send out notifications anytime an equipment provider revises their addendum. So if you wanted a specific individual within your organization to also receive copies of that information, you could designate that using this new functionality. The EP cancellation notice, when an EP comes into the UIIA system and suspends a motor carrier's interchange for, say, an outstanding monetary issue or some other reason, our system sends out a courtesy notice to the motor carrier letting them know that that equipment provider has canceled their interchange. So if there's a specific individual that takes care of that type of information within your organization, you could dedicate or designate them to receive that type of notice. Equipment return notifications, those are notifications regarding when an equipment provider that uses our equipment return location directory that's on our homepage of the UIIA website. If they change a satellite location or a return location on that they maintain on our return location directory, we're required to give, or they are required to give the motor carriers a 14-day business day notice of that change. So any notices we would send out in that respect would be under this equipment return category. IDD notices, we send notices out daily in regards to drivers that have expired expiration, driver's license expiration. Any type of notice regarding any drivers you have registered in the IDD would fall into this category. And the last category would be the outstanding interchange, and that's in regards to the enhancement that I just talked about. If there's a certain individual within your organization that you would like to receive any type of notification regarding outstanding interchange equipment, you could designate them to receive those types of notices. You'll see a note down here at the bottom regarding street interchanges. Our street interchange street turn, even though it's accessible from the UIIA application, all of the notifications from that system are done through the street interchange system. So that would not be any type of direction of notifications from that system you would have to handle within the street interchange application. So if you wanted to add a new contact, you can see here there's a couple of examples showing here, but if you wanted to add a new contact, you simply click the Add New. On the contact type, there'll be several options. You can have a primary, you could have a safety, a per diem, maintenance and repair, interchange suspension, IDD, dispatch contact for equipment termination, president, owner, general manager of the company, a legal contact, or an outstanding interchange equipment contact. So you would select what type of contact you would want to add, and then just simply enter their first name and last name, and then the email address. And then you would simply check off what types of notifications you would want that individual to receive. So I put an interchange cancellation was the type of contact, so I would want that individual to receive any types of notices regarding EP cancellations. So I would select that here, and then once I've selected, you can select multiple types of notices for one individual, but once you've made your selections, you would simply go over and click on Save, and it would save the contact that you added and add them to your list. There's no limit on the number of contacts that you can add in this area. If you have a contact listed here and you want to make a change to it, you'd simply click the little pencil, and that'll allow you to edit the entry, or the little trash can, which will allow you to delete the entry if that individual is no longer applicable to your organization. Again, these contacts are just to have visibility and allow your company to have visibility to other individuals within your organization, for the equipment providers to have the ability to see that information, and also for you to have the ability to have notifications sent to other individuals within your organization besides the master contact. From the equipment provider side, so that you can see what they will see if you have additional contacts listed, if they look up a motor carrier account, and they bring that account up, they'll have this link in the right-hand side of the screen under the UIIA contact information. There'll be a motor carrier additional contacts. They'll be able to click that and actually see what additional contacts you have listed for your company and get whatever contact information you have listed there, and then go back to the detailed record after they've done that lookup. So those are the two UIIA application enhancements. So let's get back to the PowerPoint and we'll go into the changes to the street interchange application. Med Shipping has been the equipment provider that has been utilizing IANA's street interchange application. They've been using it since September. We are working and discussing the application with other UIIA equipment providers, but for now, Med Shipping is the current one using the application. We've processed over 30,000 transactions for Med Shipping since they've started using the application. But they had received some feedback from some motor carriers that they had been working with within the application, as well as Med Shipping had some suggestions. So what we did is we took those items into consideration and we've implemented the ones that we feel are the most beneficial to the users from the user's experience in the street interchange application. So just to give a few highlights of the benefits of using IANA's street interchange application, it actually provides an efficient method for motor carriers and EPs to expedite street interchanges under the street turns as well under the UIIA agreement. We automatically validate and confirm that motor carrier B has a valid interchange with the EPs involved in the street interchange if there's two motor carriers involved. Or it actually also captures electronically the transfer of liability, damage, and indemnification under the UIIA from motor carrier A to motor carrier B when that street interchange is approved, and all transactions that are submitted would need to be approved by the equipment provider before that transfer would take place in the system. And it provides equipment providers with the ability to have supporting documentation to properly allocate their free time or per diem based on the terms in their agreement. So they would have record of when that transfer took place so they could restart the per diem clock if they needed to do so. The enhancements to the street interchange application, we've made a new quick street turn feature. Basically, percentage of street turn requests within the street interchange application have far outnumbered those involving two motor carriers so far. So what we did is Med Shipping had indicated that there were less number of fields that were required when a street turn was going to be initiated when it just involved one motor carrier versus two. So what we did is we created a new feature that streamlines that type of request for a motor carrier, for a single motor carrier that wants to reuse an import container for an export move. We've also added new features that allow the motor carrier to edit, cancel, or reinitiate a street interchange pending request. So as long as a request that has been submitted is pending and it remains in a pending status, the user would have the ability to edit that transaction, cancel that transaction, or reinitiate the transaction. And we'll talk a little bit more about that once we get into the application and I show you in more detail that functionality. We also have added the ability for multiple containers to be submitted under a single street turn request. So if a motor carrier has multiple containers that they want to issue under a single street turn request, you'll have the ability to do that as well. And the last item that we've done is we've expanded the time frame. Right now in the system, a transaction will remain in a pending status for 24 hours from the time it's submitted. So what we've done is we've changed that for any transaction that is initiated on a Friday after 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Any transactions that fall into that category, the 24-hour clock would not start until the following Monday at 7 a.m. This allows the transactions that are submitted on a Friday afternoon that the equipment provider may not get to be able to stay in that pending status and that 24-hour clock begin on Monday so that the transactions don't get prematurely rejected before the party have time to respond to them. So with that, let's take a look at the street interchange application and we'll go into that and take a look at the application. Okay, I'm going to go in as a motor carrier. So you can see the screen now when you log into the home page of the street interchange application. You're going to see a new feature running across the top here that is the quick street turn that indicates it's a single motor carrier wanting to reuse the import for an export move. And you can click here to get to that option, or you'll see a new icon at the top here that says Initiate Street Turn Request. Either one of these will get you to the new quick street turn option. So if we click that, you'll see this new screen that comes up that has many less fields than what are requested for a true street interchange when it involves two motor carriers. So whoever's logged in, the motor carrier's name will pop up here. It'll be pre-populated with their SCAT code. So all they will be required to do is enter the equipment provider, and then the container number. The export booking number will be required, and the import booking number will not be required. It'll be an optional field. If they have the chassis information, they can key that in as well. The original interchange location will be requested if you're doing a street turn. So we will no longer request the actual current location of the equipment. And what we've done is the equipment provider has provided us with a list of their locations, and we have that table stored in our application. So when you get over to the original interchange location, you can either enter the location name, like if it was Mar Terminal, you could key in the first few letters, and what that will do, it will go against the list that the equipment provider has provided us, and then you can select that location. So you can either key in the location name or the zip code, or you can click on the location code list that will bring up the EP's list that they've provided us, and then do the search from here, and then click on either the location name or the IANA code, and then that information would then be populated into this information area. So it kind of limits the number of locations and that can be entered here, because what we were finding is that some motor carriers were just entering anything in that particular field. So we wanted to limit it so that we could make sure that we're capturing the correct information for the originating location. So with that, then they would simply hit next. It brings back a confirmation screen to ask them if everything's fine. If they wanted to edit something, say they had the wrong booking number and they needed to edit that, they could click on edit, and it allows them to edit that information. If everything's fine, they would click confirm, answer that everything is correct, and click OK, and then that transaction would then go into their pending transactions, and a request would be sent to the equipment provider indicating that a street turn request had been requested by that particular motor carrier. So if we take a look at the pending transaction, you can see here it still has the string going across the top. This was initiated by this motor carrier. It's going to Med Shipping. Once Med Shipping approves it, it would automatically be approved in the system since this is a street turn. But you can also see that we've added new functionality here that allows the motor carrier to edit it. So say the motor carrier submitted this request and they said, oh, wrong booking number, I need to fix that. They could go in and bring that transaction up, click edit, fix the booking number, say next, confirm, and OK, and then that revised request would then be sent to Med Shipping, showing the correct booking number. You would also have the ability to go in and cancel requests. Say you made a street interchange, street turn request, and then you decided that you didn't want to do the street turn. You could go into that particular request and actually click the cancel request button, click OK, and then it'll show that that interchange request had been canceled by that particular motor carrier, and it would show the date and time. Now, say, for example, you canceled this request, but then at a later date, say the next day, you decided, well, now I'm ready to do this, so I'm going to reinitiate this request. So to save you from having to rekey all the information again, you could simply go into the same, under your canceled request. So let's go to cancel request on the home page. So I have canceled request here. I could go into the request that I want to reinitiate, bring it up, click on reinitiate request, and then all I would need to do is, if this is not the correct container number and booking number, I would click this to get rid of that, and then I could just enter the correct information, the correct booking number, and then whatever, if this is the correct information, that's fine. I could leave that. Click next, confirm, and OK, and then that transaction has been reinitiated. It will then become a pending transaction again, and it'll be transmitted to Med Shipping as a new street turn request. So the ability to reinitiate a request allows the motor carrier the ability to take an existing request that, say, has the same information, similar information, use that to pre-populate everything, and then just change what is different. So it saves you some ability of rekeying information. The other item that we've added is on the search screen. You'll see here that we've got a new type of search parameter that's request type, where you can search by either street interchange request or street turn request. Street interchange meaning that it would be involving 2 motor carriers versus 1. And then the street turn, of course, is reusing the same motor carrier, reusing an import for an export move. So that's a new search functionality that we've added. And then the last item is, just to be clear, this new functionality for the street turn request is simply when it's 1 motor carrier, the same motor carrier, wanting to reuse a import for an export move. If there's 2 motor carriers involved in the request, where you have a motor carrier A and motor carrier B, you would use your street interchange request screen to make that, because we still need this information when it's involving 2 motor carriers versus 1. You will notice on the originating location option here, though, we have added whatever equipment provider that you are initiating this request for, their equipment location list will be used for the originating location here, so that you would click on this to find that the location code that, or location that you would select from for that. So with that, those are the new features for both the UIIA application and the street interchange application. We certainly hope the quick street turn, we think that's really going to be beneficial to motor carriers that are using the street interchange system for med shipping, as well as the ability to edit and reinitiate and cancel a transaction, because we see many times we'll see emails coming back saying that the booking number wasn't correct. So this will give you the opportunity, as long as that transaction is still pending, it will give you the opportunity to go back into that transaction and edit the information you need to edit on it, or cancel it if you need to cancel it. So with that, Stacy, do we have any questions from anyone?
I do have a couple. In regards to the outstanding interchanged equipment, are the EPs required to use this?
No, and the reason for that is that there are many equipment providers that indicated, the Intermodal Interchange Executive Committee had indicated that there are many equipment providers that have their own process right now. However, this feature would be available for them to use as well if they wanted to, simply because this is a much simple feature. They just have to upload an Excel file. But no, it's not a mandatory that EPs use that functionality.
How often are the EPs that do use the feature or intend on using the feature able to send out notice of outstanding equipment?
They can upload 5 files, Excel files at a time, for single motor carrier stacks. Or again, like I said, they have the ability to upload a single file with multiple SCAC codes within the first column that would allow them to send notifications to however many motor carriers they wanted to send, as long as they had the appropriate SCAC within that file.
Are motor carriers able to log into the UIIA to see a summary of all outstanding equipment?
At this time, that functionality is not available. That's not saying we couldn't make that available to the motor carriers at a future date, but right now, the only thing the UIIA is operating as a mechanism for that equipment provider to communicate that information to you. So you would have record of all of that information in the Excel files that would be attached to the emails that would be sent from our system.
Is there a limit to the number of contacts that a motor carrier can set up under the new motor carrier contact feature?
No. As a motor carrier, for the new additional contact information, you have the ability to add as many contacts as you want to that area. Again, just want to stress that those contacts you add are only for the purposes of allowing other individuals within your organization to receive notifications. The equipment providers will be able to have visibility to that information. But again, remember that the UIIA agreement states that notifications from the equipment provider's perspective have to be sent to the UIIA subscriber on record. So although they'd be able to view that information, that's not saying that they would send notifications specifically to that individual. That information would be available to them should they want to contact someone within your organization regarding a specific matter.
If a company adds individuals under the new motor carrier contact feature, will the main UIA contact still be notified of UIA matters that adversely impact their account?
Yes. I think, as I just mentioned in the previous question, the UIA main contact that's set up within the UIA application will continue to receive notifications simply as an information piece to them. They can certainly set up individuals under the new functionality to also get those notices so that they know that they're taken care of. Someone else within their organization is taking care of the notices. But we want to keep the main contact informed of anything that's going on with their UIA account. So yes, they will continue to receive the notices as well.
Under the street interchange application, what will happen if a motor carrier continues to use the street interchange screen to request a street turn versus using the new quick street turn screen?
Right now, nothing will happen. It's just that the ability for you to provide less information won't be available if you use the true street interchange screen that requires information about two motor carriers. The request will still go through. You'll just have to provide more information than you would need to by using the new functionality, the new street turn request, quick street turn request screen.
Is the reinitiate a canceled street turn also available on the street interchange transaction?
Yes, it is. So if it's a street interchange, true street interchange between two motor carriers, you would have the ability, whoever was the initiator of that request would have the ability to cancel the request, reinitiate it, or edit that request. It's available to both street interchange, true street interchange request, as well as street turn request.
Okay, last question. Is there an option to cancel a street turn request after it's been approved?
No. Once it's approved, it's been recorded that that has taken place. So if you need to cancel a request that has been approved already by the equipment provider, at that point you would need to contact the equipment provider directly. The new functionality for the edit, reinitiate, and cancel is only available while that transaction remains in a pending status. One thing I do want to note, we do have another upcoming webinar scheduled on March 7th that will take a deeper dive into the street interchange application itself, not only looking at the enhancements, but actually looking at the functionalities and how to use the actual street interchange application. So UIA participants will be receiving notification of that webinar so that if you're interested in registering, you can do so. Instructions for the new functionalities are available on the UIA website if you go to www.uia.org. So from the home page, you'll see the new UIA enhancement user guide that will give you instructions on the two new functionalities within the UIA application. And then this gives you information regarding the enhancements for the street interchange application. Again, all of these new features will be available effective Monday, February 13th. And then a complete user guide for motor carriers and equipment providers for the street interchange application are also available on our home page. Should you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to either Stacy or myself. You can also send an email to UIIA@intermodal.org, and any of the customer service representatives will be available to help you. Thank you.